What up, y'all? We are with Dr. Hotch today.
What's up, guys?
And we're on the beach. We're grounding. We're getting some sun. Now, Doc, you're getting sun. You might get skin. You're gonna get melanoma.
Yeah, I probably am. I mean, look at me. I'm cooked already. Right?
Nice, man.
I spend all my time on outside.
Let's go.
I'm in the sun 24/7.
I love that. And yeah, guys, we want to bring this doc down here. I'm getting a bunch of doctors on the podcast because I know a lot of you are tapped in when you're younger. You're like, oh, like I know all this stuff, but you're trying to get your mom, your dad, your grandma to come around and start eating meat, eating eggs, hitting workouts outdoors. And someone like yourself can bring that credibility and sort of like, you know, they only listen to doctors. So I'm bringing in the doctors.
Oh yeah, lift weights, get outside, eat real food. Pretty much going to cure most of the diseases that we're ailed with these days.
Let's go. I love that. So yeah, we're just going to hit a little kettlebell flow and vibe out. Outdoor workout, fresh air, grounding,
movement.
You can't beat that. I like it like even when the weather's like bad. And I know a lot of y'all right now are like, bro, you don't even know about bad weather. But for us, this is bad weather, and it's still so beautiful. And you get the circadian biology benefits even if it's cloudy. So just get outside when you can.
Yeah, I mean, if it was snowing, we'd be getting cold exposure.
Dude, I'm starting this initiative. I actually want you to help push it when I launch it. I'm gonna do an actual ballot initiative in California. I'm talking to lawyers, putting money into it, everything. Making schools, mandating that they increase the amount of outdoor time. We're gonna really try to push for an hour more, but it might be only 30 minutes more without increasing school time.
Yeah.
But like most schools are 8 to 3 and they only get a 15-minute like brunch break and then 35 to 40-minute lunch. I'm gonna try to increase that amount of time.
Hell yeah.
More time outdoors.
Love it.
Let's go.
That'll be amazing.
What up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Santa Cruz Medicinals Radio. I have Dr. Hotch in the building. I've been following this guy for a long time because whenever I see a jacked doctor eating beef and eggs and talking shit about all the mainstream medical stuff, I love it. I love to see that. So I'm getting a lot of doctors in here. But we were talking about in the kitchen how if you drink too much soda and eat too much crumble cookie, you used to have to cut off people's feet that did that.
Yeah.
How can drinking too much soda and eating crumble make you lose your feet?
Yeah, man, it's rough. So I did my residency in foot and ankle surgery. And as I was telling you, I got into medicine because I thought I was going to be working with athletes. I got stoked on fitness, and one thing led to another. I just got really into science, took that to, all the way to becoming a doctor. Went into the feet area because everybody's telling me like, oh, you're going to be working with athletes, runners, sprained ankles, football players, broken ankles, things like that. And then literally 98% of my day was cutting off diabetic feet. And the mechanism that happens by is pretty complex, but it's something that all of us could potentially run into. Because diabetes type 2, which is what causes the feet amputations, that is something that is 100% lifestyle. So we have diabetes type 1, which is unfortunate. That's an autoimmune condition where these people can't control that. But diabetes type 2 is 100% lifestyle driven, preventable and reversible too. Unfortunately, most people let it get too far though. And what's happened is your blood glucose is getting so high due to insulin resistance that's been around for years, that the sugar is, I kind of liken it to, remember when we were kids, when we made like those candies, the sugar candy, like you would put a string in and then all the sugar would wrap around the string. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's essentially what's happening to your nerves and your blood vessels. So it's getting coated in sugar, like candy, it's called glycation. And these age products, these advanced glycation end products are occurring. Basically your nerves are dying from the sugar. It's like sugar toxicity, and your vessels are dying, and your tissue is really poor, and your immune system's poor, and their feet go 100% numb. So when you and I, get something in our shoe, if we have a pebble in there or we get a new pair of shoes that's rubbing wrong, we either like like adjust our gait, the way that we walk, or we get a new pair of shoes. They don't know because their feet are 100% numb. They get a small little blister. They don't know that it's there. They keep walking. That turns into a wound. That wound gets infected. They probably still don't know because they can't feel it. And no one's really routinely picking up your foot and looking at the bottom of it. And then before it's too long, that wound is an ulcer and it infects the bone, and that bone gets infected, and then it gets infected, we need to cut it off.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's like, but it's something that literally starts, like insulin resistance can start in a lean, what looks like healthy individual. And it can predate diabetes or pre-diabetes even by a decade. Most people don't realize that.
That's amazing. And yeah, you see a lot of these people that are like skinny fat, or they're like relatively lean, which I do feel like a lot of the traditional nutrition paradigm really does focus on calories in, calories out to get to a healthy body weight, which obviously I think you and I both agree, super important. That's like, step one. But you will see some of these people, if they're eating, a high processed sugar diet, but they're fitting it in their calories and they're losing weight, they can end up in this state of insulin resistance, and that's not a good place to be.
100%. I've seen so many guys' labs. Like I was telling you, I've worked with like literally over 10,000 guys, not a flex or anything, just to say I have a large data set to look at. And I've seen a lot of what appear to be healthy looking guys have just terrible metabolic health. So they have fasting insulin that is very high. And that's kind of how I look and diagnose insulin resistance. Is your body is no longer responding to insulin, which means that your glucose isn't being shuttled into organs and muscles and brain and everything else. So you have all this glucose floating around. And like I said, that can predate pre-diabetes for years, and almost no doctor is measuring insulin, fasting insulin. It just doesn't occur. You maybe will get a hemoglobin A1C, which is like, that's not going to get elevated until you have pre-diabetes. And that's like, we're a decade into bad metabolic health at that point. So yeah, that happens all the time that I see young, otherwise healthy appearing guys have insulin resistance, which could lead on to pre-diabetes, diabetes, and all kinds of other issues.
It's crazy. It really is. And like, it does start with that soda consumption, crumble cookie consumption, lack of lifting weights, because like you can't offset a lot of this by just having muscle mass. What do you think about some stuff like berberine supplementation and other potential supplements for blood sugar? I know alpha lipoic acid has some research behind it. Are there any supplements you sort of like for blood sugar?
I mean, berberine seems to be effective. I can't handle berberine whatsoever. I've had terrible experience with berberine where it just like makes it come out both ends. Like it's awful, flu-like symptoms of berberine. I don't know why. Conversely, I can take metformin, which is berberine has a very similar mechanism of action, and metformin doesn't bother me. But honestly, I feel like just do the lifestyle stuff and you'll be
100%.
Fine. Like
it's so true.
And I mean, like you said, calories in, calories out is huge. Like even if you just reduce the amount that you're eating, that's a start. I would rather you switch to whole nutrient dense foods first. That would be great. And that point, that it kind of limits itself. Like most of the time we're not overeating whole nutrient dense foods. We're just simply not. But if you just start getting enough protein, eating whole nutrient dense foods, getting outside, lifting weights, or doing whatever you like to do, you could be surfing, skating, playing basketball, just move. Like you're probably not going to end up with insulin resistance. It's not that hard, to be honest.
No, yeah,
like,
it really
just
isn't.
do the stuff that humans should be doing anyways.
Yeah, don't just be in your bed doom scrolling.
Exactly.
Eating a crumble cookie.
If you could supplement, sure, but I don't like to have look at them. That's a crutch to me.
100%.
It's like let's just not even need the supplement. Like let's just do the stuff, and you won't be insulin resistant.
True. So walk me through sort of a day in the life of Dr. Hotch. Like you wake up and what are you eating? What are you doing for movement? To optimize?
Yeah, I mean, this is the day in life now, which I've architected this life that I love. It's totally different, but I've always had a similar. But we wake up around 5, my wife and I, and then the kids get up later. My dog gets up at 5 with us. But we go, I go straight to the kitchen. I wake up starving. I don't know about you. I know people like to wait. I don't wait whatsoever. I wake like immediately. I'm like wiping the sleep out of my eyes and cooking my food. And I almost always have a ground meat of some sort, whether that be ground beef or ground turkey or ground chicken. We usually cook up a lot of it one night for dinner, so I have enough for the mornings. And then I have 3 eggs from the farmer's market, usually pasture raised. I have a sourdough that is like locally made. I wish my wife would do it. This
It's a long process.
This is me.
Someone
calling out
brought over some homemade sourdough to that Super Bowl party we were at.
Yeah,
that was delicious.
Dude, it's so good.
But it's like a process.
It's
they were
such
like,
a
it
process.
took us years to perfect. Our buddy Joe tried to make some here, and he bought a bunch of kind of machinery, a bunch of stuff, and it's just kind of sitting there.
Yeah. It's so I was
Failed
paying I
experiment.
pay like 20 bucks a loaf, and I was like, this is kind of expensive. I need to look into doing this myself. Watch a YouTube video. I'm like, this is not expensive because it's taking like 4 days to get
Yeah,
this. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's always homemade sourdough though that I have from a sourdough hookup, and then I have 2 iced lattes. Milk, usually like 2% or whole, sometimes raw. I'm not crazy dogmatic on either way.
Yeah.
Like if I get raw, cool. I
Dude,
like it.
I'm
It
the
tastes
same way.
better.
And so now I get flack from both sides,
Yeah,
bro, because
exactly.
I get flack from the group that only thinks you should consume raw dairy. And then I get flack from the group that thinks raw dairy is evil and that you're going to die.
Yeah,
So that's funny. We're both in kind of the same camp there. Like people freak out. They're like,
exactly.
I went to Raw Farms, the farm out
Yeah.
in Clovis, and I drank from the cow there, and that. Oh my God, you're gonna get botulism. You're gonna die. Like raw dairy is evil. And man, I'm just like a simple solution for raw milk. I don't know why they don't just like. I don't want my tax dollars spent going after raw dairy farms
Yeah.
at this point in the United States. I
Right.
think the fentanyl dealers. Maybe we should look at that first. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Let me know
not
what
raw
you guys
milk
think
dealers.
below. But like, I'm not. I don't really want my tax dollars being spent on that. I don't know why they can't just put a sticker on it and say, just like they did with alcoholic kombucha, go like, this product may expose you to foodborne illness, and you have to be 18 or older to buy it.
That makes
Done,
sense.
dude. Like,
Yeah.
and
I mean, we can buy chicken that's raw. Like
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
eating a raw chicken breast,
yeah.
Like we can buy all kinds of raw stuff. Like
Sushi and
yeah,
oysters
exactly.
kill many. I mean, not many, but they kill people every
Yeah, I don't
year.
know the
It
stats.
happens, and like, I do think like people get a little fanatical about raw dairy
Both
because
ways,
yeah,
yeah.
both ways, and it's like yes, like there's gonna be some probiotics in raw dairy, which is pretty cool, and I think these kind of like it's just overblown on both sides because
Yeah.
I have like right now in my fridge the Alexander's low temp pasteurized,
That stuff's good.
and I drink that stuff all the time. Then the raw dairy people come at me, so let me know what you guys think below. I just can't win that game,
No,
but
you
I
can't.
will drink. Like, why I drink the Raw Farms dairy is because I've been to the farm, I've met the people, I've seen the cows, I've seen how clean it is, and I've seen what they do to support like regenerative agriculture.
Exactly.
That's like why a lot of the times I buy that quality food because I can. It's not from a point of view of the other stuff is so nutritionally poor that you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I never got into it from the nutrition, same as you. It was like actually I lived in Michigan for a while. I did the end part of my residency there, and there it's like super illegal to drink raw milk. In order to do it, in order to do raw milk, you have to own some of the cows.
Yeah.
And so I bought into a herd share, which was actually super cool because then
Yeah.
I got to like meet the farmers. We were able to go out to the farm and like see how everything was done. It was awesome, dude. And then like if they couldn't produce anymore or they need to like put it down for whatever reason, you got the meat and you just felt like you were interconnected. Like
sure.
you felt way more connected to your food, and it felt like a lot more like being a human. Like
Absolutely.
knowing where your food came from was pretty legit.
I think
And it
people
tastes
are-
really fucking good.
It tastes really good, and I get when people are like, "Oh, like this person bought some sketchy raw milk and like forced their child to drink it, and the child got sick." That's fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not on that wave, but like, yeah, I think if you can go to war in the United States, I think you can make the decision to drink or not drink some raw
Yeah.
milk. And it's like with our protein, like we have grass-fed protein, and most of the benefits of grass-fed cattle do come from like the fats, right?
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of people do care about the overall sourcing of those cattle
Yeah.
and they just want to kind of contribute to better cattle sourcing. So you wake up, it seems like you have this nice locked in morning,
Oh, yeah.
and then what's the rest of the day?
Movement, well, it depends. Like weekends, we almost always head down to the beach. We're in OCs. We'll head down to Laguna Beach normally on like
Nice.
a Saturday,
Yeah.
and we almost always like get breakfast first. So we're not cooking on Saturdays, and then I'll get a coffee and we take that to the beach. And like
Nice.
sunrise with on the beach with coffee is like the ultimate thing. Like I could just do that every day and be stoked.
Dude, we were talking
Try to have
about
a bad day.
we were talking about on the beach. I'm gonna start this initiative. I'm talking to lawyers. I'm putting so much of my own money into researching this and doing it right. But in California, if you get 546,000 signatures on a legit ballot, you can put something up to be voted on. And what I want to have happen is to make more outdoor time mandated in the California school system
Yeah.
for elementary, middle, and high school. And it's doable. It's like you have this system where kids wake up and they are under fluorescent light at 8 a.m. and they are going to be under fluorescent blue light for most of the day. They get a 15-minute break usually for brunch, they call it, and then they get like another 35 to 45-minute break for lunch, and that's it oftentimes. Even PE classes a lot of times now, they'll like do some indoor bullshit. So my goal is to basically without extending the school day at all. Don't worry, y'all. That's going to be in the bill. This isn't going to make your, oh, yeah, we increased outdoor time. You got to be in
Yeah,
like a
there till
prison yard
6.
environment until, yeah. No, we're going to pull from the actual classroom time. And the way that schools will be able to do this is they could hold a class outdoors or a part of a class outdoors. I remember I'd have like cool teachers that would do this shit in high school sometimes. They'd be like, a history class or
Yeah.
something like, there is no reason why you cannot go sit in the grass and have the teacher talk. And it seems like hippie to a lot of people, but now a lot of people know there's firm evidence, even in like hospitals, when they take patients that are dealing with something and just put them in the sun on their gurneys, their healing time was like, their time in the hospital was like
Yeah,
20% less.
significantly
It's
decreased.
like, bro, 20% less? What are we talking about? Why are we not doing this? And yeah, endocrine health would go up, depression would go down, ADHD
Yeah,
would go down.
right.
So yeah, it's amazing. So you do that at the beach.
Yeah, coffee on the beach, and then we walk over to the farmers market Saturday morning. That's like every Saturday we pretty much do that. And then OC's rad because we have a farmers market like 6 days a week. You probably do here
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
So we just circle around them. That's like our thing is farmers markets. They're a ton of fun. And then movement throughout the day, it varies. For years, I was into bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit. I've done like everything. And like any bro, I love just getting bigger and bigger. But then eventually I hit a point where I was like, I don't care about size. I just want to be around longer and
Yeah.
feel good most of the time. And it just like, I don't know. Now I'm more of like the family man and it's not as fun. Like I don't have the bros to go to the gym and push. So
Yeah.
I do like Muay Thai 2 times a week,
Nice.
which is a ton of fun. I think most men, especially younger men, should get into some type of contact sport.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just think that it's just really good for us to get that aggression out and to just get stressed out because it's scary, getting punches thrown at you
Oh, yeah.
or even rolling around, like getting put into submission. It's frightening and it's controlled controlled fear,
Yeah.
so it carries over to the rest of your life so much. Like if a young guy's not doing some type of combat sport, I would definitely say do it right away.
Dr. Abood Bakri agrees, and he was saying basically that type of competition increases DHT. And so, like, if you want to masculinize yourself, like
Yeah.
a lot of these young men are trying to do with, exogenous hormones, it's like you could literally go get into wrestling, jujitsu. I mean, it's why, like, football players, all that stuff, like, they are, like, that's one of the reasons they are competing almost every day.
Yeah.
And when you're in that mindset, you feel it. Like when I like go to jiu-jitsu and like we get one of those hard, like scrappy days in, like feel a little tired after, but like the hours after you feel that like
You do.
testosterone boost.
I just think people should try to do more hard shit because now we're in this environment where everything is very easy and it's great. I'm very happy that we've made it this way, this far, as a race. It's awesome. But we're not wired for that.
No.
And life is still hard. It's just harder in different ways. And then when people have to deal with hardship, which we have to inevitably at some
Yeah.
point in life, like you need to be able to rely on those mechanisms. And a lot of people don't have them because they live in such a bubble. So things like cold exposure, even though I don't know about the benefits, like I don't know, brown fat, whatever, cool. But like, I think what's more beneficial is you did something that really sucked for a little bit and you sat in it and you dealt with it.
Mhm.
And that way, like the next time that something hard comes along, the interesting thing about these neurochemicals in our brain is our brain doesn't really know the difference, whether it's like, oh, that was a cold plunge that produced that, or that was, I was running from a saber-toothed tiger,
Yeah.
or, I'm at gunpoint. Like your brain doesn't know the difference. It's not like, it's like the epinephrine's tagged with like, oh, this is a saber-toothed tiger. This is just my girlfriend stressing me out.
Yeah.
Like it's the same chemical.
100%.
And so I think that if we get used to exposing our brain to these neurochemicals and we can control it, we can be mindful about it. Like practicing mindfulness meditation is great too for young guys.
Yeah.
Like if we can sit and suck and deal with it and get our mind right, like that carries over to so many parts of life.
Dude, I do various breathing exercises. Anybody can look these up right now and do these, but it's like every night I will load up. I roll through a few of them. So there's one I've posted before. You look up yoga, relaxation, pose, meditation. There's like a 10-minute guided meditation with some guided breathing in there. That one's amazing. And like, it's not one of those like weird, like condescending, like hippie ones. You know what I mean? It's just like kind of just like right to the point, nice and relaxing. The other one that's really easy to do is 4-7-8 breathing. It's obviously box breathing. A lot of people have heard of that, but 4-7-8 when you're making that exhale longer and you're doing that 7-second breath hold. So breathe in 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. And I'll do that guided and like you'll see your heart rate start to drop. That's how you start to drop your heart rate for like free diving I was talking about. And then lately I've been doing these breath tables where it's like these breath holding work. And it's so hard, bro. Like you do like, you go 30-second chill in, 30-second breath hold, then 45-second chill in, 45-second breath hold. And I'm able to get all the way up to like a minute 45 now. And it's just you really have to talk to your mind and like control those like initial like contractions that you get. But when I'm done with it, bro, and even during the breath holds, at least the beginning of them, it's a really just like peaceful place to
It is.
be. And connecting with your breath is so crucial, bro. I wish I knew that in high school. Just if
And
something was stressing me out,
yeah,
I
exactly.
can self regulate with breath now.
And I would say for meditation, oftentimes is not peaceful. And I think that's why people don't like it because it is hard to sit with your thoughts,
Yeah.
And I think people think about it the wrong way. It was, I have a good friend named Dave Lee. He's big in the hormone space and he got me onto mindfulness meditation years ago. The way he explained it to me made so much sense, which was, you know, a lot of us sit down and we're like, all right, we're going to meditate. And then we go calm for like 2 seconds and our brain goes somewhere else. And we go,
Yeah.
oh, we fucked up and we give up. That's the point. He reminded me. He
Yeah.
was like, he would be, if you stop there, it would be like doing a bicep curl and then letting it drop and saying like, oh, I'm not doing the curl anymore. I can't do it. Like, no, you keep doing it. It's
Yeah.
the repetitions
Yeah.
that work. So it's actually, you want your mind to trail. You want to go, oh, wait, my mind trailed. Let me bring it back to center. Cause that's where you're learning.
Yeah.
And that way, when you get into those stressful situations in life and you go, my mind's going crazy. It's getting ahead of me. I'm getting anxious. I'm thinking of all the wrong things that could happen right now. You go, wait, bring it back. Like, let's just hold on and think about this for a minute and be calm. And being a man, being masculine is being calm, right? Like you need to know how to be calm in stressful situations. Like that
True.
is like, in my opinion, like one of the definitions of being a man.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can get under hard, like in hard situations, doing hard shit and be calm and collected through it, like that's just going to carry over to so many aspects of your life.
Yeah, it's so easy. And I look at it as like a testosterone boost, bro. Like I'm like when I'm doing my 10-minute meditation at night in the dark, like my wife like gets into bed, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do my meditation. She's like, okay, now I'm just breathing in the dark and like really like down regulating my nervous system. I know my sleep is gonna be better because of that. I know my immune system's gonna be better. Everything's gonna work better because of that. So tell me what it's like been you've been seeing this sort of rise in like peptides and hormone use amongst youth, and you know a lot about peptides and hormones. You've done a lot of this stuff yourself. What is it like seeing like 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds start to dive headfirst into this and start blasting tests and peptides?
Yeah, I mean, I get it because I was one of those kids for sure. I wasn't that young, but I had my own issues with my body insecurity and everything at 14. I guess maybe we'll just go back to. I'll talk about a little bit of my background, which was when I was that age, I dealt with a severe eating disorder.
Mm.
Like at like 16, probably. I think always I was concerned with the way that I looked. I literally remember being probably like 6, and my brother like pinching the bottom roll, and
Yeah.
like just being an older brother.
Yeah.
But that like stuck with me. Like I'm fat, they're making fun of my fat. And
Mm.
then that just stuck with me for years. So I was like 16 and I was a skateboarder, like a punk kid, but like secretly I was trying to get as skinny as I could because I
Mm.
wanted to look like the pro skaters that looked sick when their shirts were off. I thought they looked lean and cool. And I was just hyper fixated on it for whatever reason. I don't know. But it just turned out to like eventually I was just not eating. And then I got like bulimic because I would like, binge on a meal and cause myself to throw up or whatever. So it was crazy. I feel like I have this personality where I always take everything to 110. But then I found bodybuilding, which was like great for that for
Mhm.
a little while. Because it was like, okay, now I know I need to eat to fuel my body. I have to get big. I have to put on some fat to bulk.
Yeah.
And that was like very healing for a little bit until I didn't get as big as I wanted to. And then instead of like having an eating disorder, I was like, well, I can do steroids. And this was when I was like 24, so like 13 years ago now. It was much before like any of this was happening. This was in my 20s on the online forums, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pull the whatever. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do steroids. So I went into that, and as I was telling you earlier, it kind of becomes this vicious cycle because I was expecting that if I did these, suddenly I was going to look like, all the guys that I was idolizing, and I was going to be content. I was finally going to, hit the body that I thought that I wanted, that I deemed to be like perfect.
Yeah.
And I didn't, right? Like I did one cycle and I was like, okay, that was kind of cool. It was a little bit better than normal, but like I don't look like C-bum yet. So I need to do another cycle.
Mm.
And then it was like, okay, I did another cycle with more. And then I'm like, okay, maybe it's the wrong like compound. I need a different compound. So I add more, and like, I must have the wrong dealer. So I need to go to another dealer. And like, it was just this vicious cycle for like 10 years of trying more and more and more and more and more. And then eventually realizing like, okay, I just genetically am never going to be that. And also I just need to come to peace with like who I am and do a lot of internal work.
Yeah.
So like, that's kind of where I come from in my personal experience. So when I'm talking to guys, it's not like I'm, on this pedestal, like this doctor in a white coat saying what you're doing is stupid. Cause like
Yeah.
I've fucking been there. I get it.
100%.
I 100% get it. What I would say to like the 14, 15-year-olds is definitely do not do it that at this age. I think it's so dangerous. They just don't understand. The thing that sucks is like at that age, you think you understand
Mhm.
100%. Like at every age, you're conscious, you think that you understand. what I would say is like, if you're 14, think about when you were 4. Like, are you the same person that you were then? Like, not at all. And then when you're 24, you're not going to be who you were when you were 14, and
Yeah.
34, and conversely, right? Like, you and I know this. We're in our 30s now. It's like who we were when we were 20 is like, who is that person?
No. Oh my
Yeah.
God. But I mean, now, like, these kids are literally out here going like, I don't want to get frame mogged by the ASU frat
Yeah.
leader. If I start blasting gear now, I'll have a chance to frame mog people.
Yeah, I
This
get
is
it.
the mentality.
I know, I get it.
And this is why people go online and they start ordering tests at age 14.
I wish that I had a solution. There's so much that we can say, but it's like they're not going to listen, which sucks. I would just definitely caution you that eventually you'll get to a point in your life where this is not important to you anymore. Where like frame mugging some dude is going to be silly to you. It just is what it is. Like, I understand that's your life right now.
I mean, there's a whole vigil for Clav at
Yeah.
ASU now. There's a literal memorial
It's wild.
he got
It's
frame
wild.
mogged
Yeah.
so hard. No, but my concern, I'm like, that's why I've been having people like you and Abud on is like, I'm not somebody who's like testosterone doesn't work, but like the reason I've never taken testosterone is because it's a big project to take
It
on
is.
to start messing with your endocrine system.
Yeah.
And I do not believe at age 14, if you start pinning gear, or you start doing testosterone and maybe some other stuff, I just don't think they're going to be able to rationally handle that. And it's actually what Clav says. It's funny, a lot of these guys, their leader's Clav, but like if you actually listen to Clav, he goes like 99% of people or kids are going to be too dumb to do what I did in terms of like actually getting lab work done and doing it right and making that commitment for the rest of your life
Yeah.
to be on it. So what does that process even look like to like start doing test?
Yeah. So, I mean, let's see. Let's talk about like the whole, like testosterone is just a hormone, and a hormone is just a chemical that our body makes in one part of the body that sends out a message to other parts of the body. It's responsible for our secondary sex characteristics. So that's, our beard, our muscle development, things like that. It certainly is not miraculous though. That's for sure. People should know that it really isn't. I mean, look at Clav. I'm not trying to be rude to the kid, but he's like in bodybuilding perspective, like,
Oh, for sure.
it's like,
Well, he like doesn't really work out,
Right,
anymore. I
sure.
feel like, yeah, but that's the thing. Like if
But
he
it-
like just committed to like working out, like dialing in his nutrition and doing all this, he would look like really muscular.
yeah, my
But
point being is like he does not look like somebody who's enhanced. Like you can hit that natty.
for sure. Yeah.
And he's on what I would call a significant amount of androgens, right? So it's really not a miraculous thing, but the way that it's produced, it's kind of complex, it's kind of simple too. It starts in the brain. So we have our hypothalamus and our pituitary. Our hypothalamus is kind of like the control center. So it's sensing for levels. Interestingly, it's not actually sensing for levels of testosterone. It's sensing for levels of estrogen. And estrogen or estradiol is what testosterone is converted into. So if our body senses that our estrogen levels are high enough, it stops the production of testosterone. And when you're doing testosterone, you're taking exogenous or outside source of testosterone, your brain is sensing, I have enough of this estrogen. We don't need to make testosterone. We'll just say I have enough testosterone. I don't have to make it. So it shuts that down. And what happens when you're young, though, is you're in this developmental stage, and these cells are still maturing. They're still proliferating. There's so much happening there that you can actually shut down these processes long term. Like I would argue, if you went on testosterone now for a year, it would be much easier to get you off of testosterone and back to being natty than it would be like a 17-year-old kid who went on for a year.
Yeah.
Like at that age, when your brain is still developing, when that hypothalamus and pituitary and all your set points aren't even there yet, like you're really going to screw up your brain and the chemistry, unfortunately. So, after it senses that these levels are either high or low, it will send down a signal, which is LH and FSH. LH stimulates the testes to make testosterone, and that signal's turned off. So if you look at somebody on anabolics or even TRT, their LH and FSH should be 0.
Yeah.
And then what also happens is your testes atrophy. And if your testes aren't getting that signal to make testosterone and sperm, they're basically just like a vestige of an old organ. It's like it's something that's not being used. And our body's highly efficient. It's not going to waste energy on keeping around this organ that isn't being used. So it kind of walls it off with scar tissue, and they literally shrink and they get scarred over, and they may not ever work again, depending on how long you're
crazy.
on. Yeah. So, I mean, it's
a
probably
crazy thing to want to take on as a 15-year-old.
Exactly.
You're going to make your balls shrink and not work.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely the possibility. And I mean, I would at least wait until you've gone through puberty, just so that your body does have those regulatory set points and everything is okay. Because, like I said, I think your recovery will be much easier. But going on young, just awful. And then for a while there was things like SARMs, which I'm glad those have kind of fallen out of fashion, which is great because those were terrible as well.
I
I would
remember
see,
seeing MK677 and some of these SARMs back in the day, and people were basically claiming, hey, this is a way to take these things and they won't cause any type
yeah,
of endocrine shutdown at all, but they'll give you a boost. And I never bought that shit. I'm like,
yeah,
there's no way that these don't cause some type of shutdown.
right.
I'm
They
not saying that
did.
they wouldn't, they did.
Yeah,
So,
I would
yeah.
see labs and they would honestly a lot of guys that I dealt with who had low testosterone at say like young 20s, they would be like, dude, I did SARMs when I was 19 and that's why they were cooked. Like it
Yes.
sucked. Because I guess to go back when I said your brain is sensing for estrogen, it is. It's mainly sensing for estrogen. It can be impacted by androgens as well.
Mhm.
And the whole idea of SARM, selective androgen receptor modulator, should be that it's only binding to muscle androgen receptors. It
Mhm.
just doesn't work in practice. In theory, it would be cool. It'd be super cool if we could take an androgen that only grows muscles and doesn't work anywhere else.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen. There's only one type of androgen receptor that it can bind to. And so it will bind to those androgen receptors in the hypothalamus too and shut you down.
Yeah.
And your body can sense peripherally like these androgen receptors are being stimulated. So you have androgens in the body, we're going to shut it down. And that led to a host of issues because it wasn't aromatizing into estrogen. And estrogen is so vital for male health.
Yeah.
It's something we should definitely talk about is how important estrogen actually is. And so like these guys are just terrible. They had mood issues, low libido, dick doesn't work, balls are shriveled. Like it sucks.
That's not a good place
Yeah,
to be.
it's not.
Yeah. So, what are some things that you're seeing amongst young men right now, looking at their lab work, looking at kind of what peptides people are taking or maybe should be taking? What are you seeing out there?
I don't think anyone necessarily should be taking anything. Ideally, you're not. That's kind of the philosophy that I have. And again, I come from the place of I've done everything. And then I got also into like hyper optimization, like biohacking for a while. And honestly, the more that I did with that, the more I decided like all of this is BS and we don't need this stuff.
I
And-
100% agree, bro. Like, I try to tell people, like, somebody was asking me about ashwagandha, relaxing him. I'm like, yes, 100%. But if you're not doing the 10-minute meditation, that's going to get you so much more than taking ashwagandha, magnesium, and some
Yeah.
sleep caps.
Yeah.
If you do both, great. But like, and people are sometimes shocked to hear me say that because like I sell supplements
Right.
and it's like, I'll tell people if you're not training hard, you don't need electrolytes. You can just eat real food. You'll get electrolytes from there. If you're training hard, there's a lot of good evidence. If you're hitting workouts and hitting the sauna, you're going to be losing a lot of sodium. If you're not working out much, you don't need an electrolyte supplement.
Exactly.
There's some supplements I think people who don't even work out should be taking. Probably some
Sure.
creatine, probably some magnesium, vitamin D if your levels are low and you're not getting outside. But again, I sell vitamin D. It's like if you can go outside and get total body sun exposure and get your levels up like that, do it.
Yeah. I completely agree.
100%. So yeah, I'm on the same wave there.
Yeah, like what I would see is like, especially in the peak of my kind of like health optimization, I was doing a lot of coaching. I was working with Derek, More Plates, More Dates at Merrick Health, and I saw so many guys, and it just kept pushing me away because we would put guys on these extensive lists of peptides and biohacking regulators and things, and they would just like every one thing that we introduced, we need to introduce two other things to combat the side effects. And
Yeah.
it was just like, now we're taking a laundry list of like 30 things. And oftentimes they were like, I feel worse than when I started. Like that was usually what happened. Where conversely, I would see guys come in that are like, oh, I just exercise every day. I go out in the sun. I eat whole foods, and their labs would be impeccable. And they would tell me I feel amazing every day.
Yeah.
And these are even older guguys and younger guys. Like I remember, Joey Swartz, I think we're both friends with Joey. Yeah. So Joey came to me once and I didn't know who he was. And I remember seeing his labs. He sent them over to me and I'm like, whatever this guy's doing is like, this is impeccable. Like these are the best labs that I've seen in a long time. And then I talked with him and he was, how he is. He's just like, I don't really do much as eat whole food. That's my thing. I go on walks. I walk outside. I eat whole food. Sometimes I lift weights. He's like pretty chill about it. I'm like, these are perfect labs. And then he tells me like, oh, I do social media. And I look, I'm like, oh, he's got a huge following. Like this is his whole life. Makes sense. But like he was walking the walk and talking the talk and it showed. And I would see that again and again. Like if I looked at your labs, I wouldn't be surprised that you probably had, or I've seen them now, that you have super high testosterone, that your insulin is low, your inflammation is low, and you feel good every day, which is the most important thing.
100%, man. And I feel like a big part of that is like reducing stress in our lives. Yeah. We had a cancer researcher in here and like she was just talking about stress. Like it's like one of the main things you can do to like, stress reduction. And there's this weird thing right now. There's like have you seen the trend of like, don't let this raise my
Oh
cortisol.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's like cortisol isn't bad or good. Like excess cortisol can be bad, but like you actually, it appears like our biology is set up to raise our cortisol through like workouts, through
Yeah.
like hard stuff physically. And that actually helps our cortisol lower throughout the day. And like you were saying, the stress adaptation. So like then emotional stress will hit you less. But have you ever seen the meme of like the old Italian guy versus
Yeah.
Brian Johnson?
Yeah.
Like who's gonna live longer?
Yeah.
The guy who
I
just
love
sits
that.
in the sun in the south of Italy and drinks wine and probably smokes some cigarettes,
Yeah.
and of course they eat almost all real food,
Right.
but it's like that there is a lot of truth to that where it's like the thing is that guy's not stressed out and worried and people like oftentimes ask like are you scared of crumble? Like I'm like, dude, none of what I do is out of a fear
Right.
posture. Like I just learn stuff and absorb knowledge and I'm pretty chill about it. Like I love researching this stuff. It's fun. And I feel like if people aren't in that mode of like lightness and fun with like researching their health and what supplements to take and what things to do, then you're doing it wrong. And I think what you're saying reflects that. If you'll see these guys who are biohackers, but they're stressed. They're not like they're trying to like biohack themselves sometimes out of a life that they
Yeah.
don't like,
That's
or they're
true.
trying to get to some like superhuman place, and like they're not respecting like the actual biology of like what you are as a Homo sapien, which is like it's gonna ebb and flow. You got to learn to like enjoy like it's like pretty normal to have like the 3 p.m. 4 p.m. nap that like a
Yeah.
lot of like people in certain countries do. Like that shit's normal. Sometimes I see people like trying to force their way out of being like a little tired after like a
Right.
long day of
Yeah.
work. Kid came up to me at the gym yesterday. He's like, the thing is, bro, like I'm like studying. He's like I think he's in med school. He's like pre-med. And he's like, but I get out of my classes and it's like 4 and I'm like, I just want to like chill for a little while. I'm like tired. I'm like, so
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
that's not a sign that you need to get on
I would
gear.
get this so much like talking to these young guys. It would be comical stuff, right? Like I work 12-hour shifts and I get home and I'm exhausted. And I'm like, and like,
Yeah,
where's the
and
issue there?
rest.
Like, yeah, it's like, so you're a human, right? Or another huge one too is like libido. Like every guy is concerned with their libido and their erection quality. This is huge for guys. And I think we've all experienced where maybe our libido isn't as high or more like we want to. And then we have some like ED.
Yeah.
And that ED is 100% fear. Like we've all been there. I know you have. I know I have. Where it's like you're
Never me,
meeting,
bro.
yeah, yeah. No, I wish. Like the amount of times that you get with a hot girl and it's like, okay, this is a hot girl, this is a stranger. And then all these things are going through your mind. Like you're conditioned with porn to think like, hey, I'm not hung like a horse. And like, I don't know if I'm going to please her. And now these guys are so concerned with their looks. They're probably thinking like, oh, she thinks my zygomatic arch is fucked. And like,
Yeah.
and they're like, your mind is racing. So then, yeah, cortisol is increasing, epinephrine's increasing, norepinephrine, all of these things. And again, like I said earlier, your brain can't differentiate. Are all these hormones being made right now because he's like running for his life, or is it just because he's looking at a hot
You're
girl?
not gonna have
So
good
yeah,
sex
at that point,
You're just not.
like
It's
your
cooked.
brain is turned off like sex. Like this is not a reproductive
Yeah.
time. You are so stressed out, like it's not a reproductive. So like my friend like has joked like that's your dick telling you like she's not for you, dude. Get to know her. Like you get comfortable enough
Dude,
to have sex. with her.
you'll agree with this because you're married. It's like sex with my wife is the best thing ever because I'm always comfortable.
Yes.
There's pretty much nothing in this world I could do to like make her, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's not going to be that like uncomfortable feeling between us. We know each other so well. So when I'm at home, it's like the most relaxed time ever.
Yeah.
I can completely be myself. And it's like the difference of that between when you're like, 16 years old in high school, like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
forced by your friends to like, like it's like
Yeah.
the difference is so crazy. And we'll both tell people that like when you get to that other side of like you're married, you're like actually have a connection with somebody, it's so much better.
100%. And my point being there on that tangent is that doesn't mean your testosterone is low.
Yeah.
Like you can have testosterone off the charts and still, again, you're in that fight or flight, that sympathetic drive is taking over.
Mhm.
Again, your brain thinks you're potentially running for your life right now. It does not know what's going on. So your dick's not going to get hard. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's all these things where it's like, that's normal, bro. It's okay to be tired at the end of the day. It's okay to get tired in the middle of the day. It's okay to not have libido sometimes if you're stressed out, if you're thinking about exams or you're thinking about how you're going to pay rent or whatever. Like it's totally normal to not have the libido, to be tired, to not put on or not want to work out, to feel like shit in the gym. Like it's just part of the human experience.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from experience, like it sounds like I'm just old unk, but like, again, I did the shit and I
Yeah.
would still experience that. I would be loaded up on tren and all kinds of gear and still have the hot girl in front of me and not be able to get it up.
Yeah.
And I would still be mid set and be like, man, this fucking sucks. I want to go home. Like I didn't have the motivation to just kill the gym every single time. A lot of it was having to suck it up and do it, you know?
There literally is no way to become a super beast, this Giga Chad archetype 100% of the time.
Yeah.
There's no way you can get towards that. But I know the most like alpha people on the planet. My buddy Todd Duffy was a top ranked UFC heavyweight. He's 6'4", 240, lean, jacked. Like all the girls like him. And it's like, we know Todd very well. Like, it's just, I feel like I wish people like could get to know people like that. Like I have for over a decade. And like, I think it humanizes them way more where you're like, oh, I mean, Todd will tell you like all the same type of stories you're telling me. Like, bro, it was 2014. I was with this chick. I couldn't get hard.
Yeah.
Like I felt like a loser like that. Like he'll tell all those stories. And it's kind of good to hear because I do feel like people just see on social media, like people's highlights. And they're like, okay, wait, I can take substances that will get me there reliably. Like people are telling me it'll get me there. And like, again, neither of us are against all these things. Like you've used them. But just like the image of like this, for some people, it's pure happiness all the time. For some people, it's purely being like this mega alpha. It's fake. It's an illusion. It's false.
It is, yeah. And I think that all of it is going to require work regardless. So if you're on TRT, you need to do the work to be able to get the results of TRT. If you're on steroids, you need to do the work to get the results of steroids. If you're on peptides, like all of that, like you still need to do all the work. And that's where a lot of people don't. Like they think that they can do these things and just sit around and miracles will happen, and they don't. When it comes to TRT too, like, you know, some guys actually really do need it. But I tell them you have to meet the TRT halfway. Like the TRT is going to just allow you to do the work now that you need to do to feel good. Because what happens to a lot of guys, and I do want to be considerate of, there are a lot of guys these days who maybe are doing everything right. You know, they're watching Santa Cruz, they're not eating crumble, they're going outside, they're exercising, they're eating right, and they still may have low testosterone.
For sure.
And that sucks. And it happens more like the people who tell you that you just need to eat right and exercise, I think they're wrong. They're not, they haven't looked
blood work.
Yeah, they haven't looked at enough people's labs,
Yeah.
which I have. And I've definitely seen a lot of people doing everything right. And like our generation and on, like we've been raised in this like estrogen sludge with plastics and pesticides and pollutants and everything else. And I think you know, like the testosterone levels have just been declining. And there's a lot of guys who probably in the womb were exposed to lower levels of androgens, and they're developing slower. They have lower levels of testosterone and they feel like shit. So even if you do need it and you go on TRT though, you still have to do the work. Now it's like the harder part starts.
Yeah.
Because like now we've unlocked and now we've given you the ability to do the work. Because before you felt just terrible existing. Like you didn't want to get off the couch. Now I'm going to give you the fuel, but like you need to build the car for that fuel, right? And a lot, oftentimes too, is they don't. And what happens if you put like this jet fuel into a beater, like you end up with a ton of side effects.
Yeah.
So I'll go on record and honestly say, I do not think TRT has any side effects if it's put into the right body. So like it shouldn't. If TRT is true testosterone replacement therapy, we should be replacing to the level that body can handle. What happens oftentimes is we give somebody too much. We give people healthy levels of testosterone. Like what was yours, 1,000 something?
1,007, yeah.
So we give somebody whose body is only healthy enough to be producing a 300, and we give them 1,000. Again, that's putting that jet fuel into a little beater, like Corolla. You know, it's like you're not going to be functioning like a Lamborghini yet because you don't have the machinery. You need to get yourself insulin sensitive. You need to lower your inflammation. You need to work on your stress, get your cortisol, chronic cortisol, not acute cortisol down. Like you need to build muscle mass. You need to lose this fat. Like you need to do all these things so that the testosterone can actually even work.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to get you to like where you're at, and not a diss on you, but it's like, you know, you're at the end, you're not going to turn into SIBO.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm 100% not.
It's like
I'm not
this is what 1,000
frame-mogging.
testosterone
I'm not
looks
frame-mogging the ASU frat leader.
No, but I mean, I think I should be stoked with like a level of your fitness.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel great. And like for me, it's about like what can I do? And it's like, dude, we're going to be spearfishing and surfing in the next like 2 days and go lift some weights and have some, you know, a great time. I want to ask you some kind of like rapid fire type questions. So like as a doctor, do you eat seed oils? Are you a fan of seed oils?
My stance has changed on them a lot. I'm kind of more anti now than pro. I wouldn't be worrying about that if that was like, I wouldn't just start there. That
Yeah.
would be more down the line. At first, I would just try to eat whole foods. And if you have whole foods that are made with a little bit of like seed oil, whatever. But I do think mechanistically, it makes sense that they can be like a possible inflammatory burden. Like I do think that they can get incorporated into cell walls and increase the probability of them becoming inflamed later on.
Mhm.
And I think the studies are a little flawed in that they do these short studies where they look at, like an LDL has lowered and HDL has increased after like 6 months or something. But like we've never done one where we look at 20 years and like what kind of impact that has on inflammatory markers and things like that. So again, the idea there is that like these seed oils, they can be oxidized and they can cause inflammation.
Mhm.
So then you're actually taking them in, they're kind of becoming part of you. And now you can become inflamed and oxidized more readily. So that would be my concern. Dr. Chris Masterjohn, he's a PhD. He had a really good write-up on it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very like non-dogmatic. And after reading his and and looking through the literature, I'm like, okay, I kind of just changed my stance. Cause I used to be more like pro in a way. I'm like, the data show like it lowers LDL and increases HDL, a positive. But when you look at the mechanism, which I think we do need to look at mechanistic data, and then like the Lane Nortons of the world would say like, oh, but then in practice, but again, I don't think that we have the randomized control trials that are long enough.
Mhm.
That
And
would
Chris
be,
Masterjohn is talking about mitochondrial health a lot.
yeah,
which
he does. Yeah.
we don't have great data on that.
No, we
So
don't.
it's like, could we do a test in the future where people are eating, one group's eating seed oils and one group is eating more, the ancestral fats, whatever you want to call it, and maybe they're metabolically healthy. And we did a 10-year study and we looked at mitochondrial health markers and different things. That would be very interesting, but we don't have that right
Yeah.
now. So I sort of am in the same camp as you. I don't freak out about seed oils. If I'm in some random town filming and there's a Chipotle, I'll go to the Chipotle, I'll eat the rice bran oil. I'm not freaked out about them. When I go out to a restaurant, I'm not like handing them a jar of beef tallow and like,
Yeah.
can you cook
No.
with this? But if there's a seed oil free restaurant right there, I'm going on that Scout app, my friend Bill, and I'm like, I'm gonna go eat
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
And I genuinely have had periods in my life where I have a little bit more seed oils. I'm eating out more than periods in my life where I'm really like not eating any, and I feel better when I am not eating seed oils. And who knows, maybe mitochondrial health is at play. There's some studies showing like when you cook at high heat, beef
Yeah.
tallow produces less benzoate than
Mhm.
seed oils. So I think it's one of those things like you're saying, you shouldn't freak out about. It's hard when you're young to avoid these. Like you should
Yeah.
go just the food quality first and like not worry too much about the seed oils.
100%.
But
Yeah, if I was young again, like back in college, I would not worry about seed oils and stuff. I would just cook at home. Like I would probably buy like vegetables in a plastic bag,
Yeah.
and like heat them up in the microwave along with some like beef and rice or
Yep.
potatoes. And yeah, like, it would be perfect. I wouldn't like be cooking the beef in canola oil. Like, I'd buy some tallow or I'd
Yeah.
buy some avocado oil, whatever, butter even. But I wouldn't be worrying about that stuff. You just don't have the funds to worry about it too. That stuff's all very expensive now.
For sure.
But honestly, like if you were just literally eating like conventional, non-organic veggies, meat, and potatoes and rice and sourdough and stuff, you're going to be good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What is your thoughts on copper GHKCU? This has been known as like the looks maxing peptide.
Yeah,
What do you
that
think about
one,
it?
that one I do find is probably pretty effective. It makes sense. It's an endogenously produced peptide, so like we make some of it, and it does seem to potentially help with like reducing fine lines and improving wound healing. Um, I don't think it's miraculous. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think I'm going to put it on my old wrinkles and look any younger. I do have some, like we sell it at ALGO and people seem to like it. It would be one that I think is relatively safe, especially topically. And I think that's where it's probably best. People do inject it systemically. I would just be like, you need to be a little mindful of your zinc intake when it comes to that. Like if I was going through periods of time too, where maybe I had an injury, in particular, like a skin injury, like a surgery, and
Mm.
you wanted the like a cosmetic heal, I think that could be good. Like if
Yeah.
you were to mix it with the other healing peptides like BPC 157, TB 500, copper, maybe there's a use case for it there. But otherwise, I would probably stick to topical only and apply it like to hopefully reduce fine lines and wrinkles and photo aging. Yeah.
And tell me about this peptide tesamorelin because Dr. Abood thinks I should get on a small dose tesamorelin, which I probably will do. I'll take doctor's orders, but then I'll break my natty thing. Never took clomiphene, Greg, but this will
Yeah.
break my natty status. Tell me about tesamorelin.
So those fall into a class of they're basically like these growth hormone releasing peptides. They increase your endogenous or natural levels of growth hormone. I've used all of them. I've used actual growth hormone too, and I feel like growth hormone was probably the thing that let me down the most,
Interesting.
because
Well, we're homies with Liver King. He was
yeah,
taking, whew,
a ton.
bunch of growth
Yeah.
hormone.
So when I used all the peptides and I didn't get much from it, and then I got into growth hormone. And again, I'd done like every steroid and was like, I still hadn't reached the peak that I thought that I could. And I always had in the back of mind, it's because I'm not doing growth hormone. All the pros are doing growth
Yeah.
hormone. And then I got enough money to do growth hormone, and I did growth hormone, and I got bloated as hell. Like I had cankles. It was crazy the amount of water retention I got. And that's really all I got from it. I got really tight, swollen hands. I got bloated. And honestly, I felt like it aged the shit out of me. And this is something that I don't think people realize is growth hormone. Like when you think about when we have the most growth hormone as humans, it's when we're like teenagers, right? When we're going through puberty. And if you look at a kid, like I'm going through this with our kids now, like, they go to school and they come back and they're different people. They're aging so rapidly. So when you and I take high levels of growth hormone or anything that's increasing our growth hormone, we actually are accelerating our growth and our aging. So people tout it as this anti-aging like beauty thing. And I think it can be acutely, but chronically, I do think it accelerates aging, not slows it down.
Interesting.
So that's my concern with it. Again, I think these things have use cases. If you were training for a marathon or something and you're just getting beat up, or training for whatever, you're just getting repeatedly beat up and you need to improve your recovery for a stint of like 4 or 6 weeks, probably a really good use case for it. Just running it continuously on end for your normal life, I don't think makes sense.
Yeah.
So that would be my kind of thing. If you're like a bodybuilder, then that's your use case. You're going to max this stuff out and you're hoping for the hyperplasia or like the new muscle cells being made from it. That's one thing. But just a normal guy, I don't think that it makes us look better. I think if anything, chronically, it can make us look worse. That's what I found with myself. Like literally, I didn't have these wrinkles and shit. And I'm like doing growth hormone. And I'm like, damn, I'm getting like these wrinkles. I'm looking bloated. I got cankles. Like there was no looks maxing occurring because I had to dial that stuff way back. And this was probably like, I don't know, 7 years ago now. But yeah, it just wasn't what I had hoped. And then of course there is the theoretical risk of cancer, and people will be like, oh, it's never been proven. It certainly hasn't. But again, it's that mechanistic theoretical risk.
For sure.
And it's like, that stuff's scary. And if you've ever known somebody with cancer, it's like, it scares you to think that, hey, I could potentially be fueling this.
Yeah.
Again, it's never been shown in humans. We don't know if it's true. We just don't have the data. I'm just not really willing to risk it anymore at this point in my life because I care so much about my life.
For sure.
It's like, hey, I don't know if maybe I have one cell that's just gone a little haywire and my body would maybe otherwise get rid of it, but instead I just poured a little bit of gasoline on it.
Yeah.
And again, it sounds like Unc saying this, and it probably won't happen, but there is that theoretical risk. So it would just be like, I don't know, weigh the options, like, or weigh the risks. Like if you're in a point in your life where you do need a little bit improved recovery, sure. Like they would probably be great. If you're just doing normal day-to-day life, probably not needed.
Are there any newer peptides or things that kind of aren't on people's radar that you're excited about or like interested in?
Man, I'm the wrong person to ask. I'd be like, sunlight is sick. Like you should definitely check that
But
out.
sunlight's going to cause skin cancer. That's what they say.
Yeah, that is what I say. And potentially, but interesting with like the seed oil thing and the sun. Like when we talk about those seed oils are becoming you and becoming a part of your cell membrane, and then they can be oxidized by heat and sun. And like that could be causing the skin cancer. It's a probable or possible mechanistic explanation to skin cancer. Just something to think about.
Seed oils are making you burn and get skin cancer.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who say that they burned a lot at one point in their life. They cut out seed oils and they no longer burn, and they
I've heard a lot of that.
Yeah.
I really have. I mean, I feel like my body just understands the amount of sun to get now, and I'm like able to get the right amount of sun, and it's amazing. And we've had countless doctors in here who just disagree with the narrative that the government puts forward of don't go in the sun unprotected, put chemical sunscreen on yourself, or and hey, if you want to throw on a long sleeve shirt and a hat to not get burnt, I think I've never heard anybody not be a fan of that.
Yeah.
But to say that the sun is going to directly cause cancer doesn't appear to be right, and it's probably doing a lot of people harm.
Yeah, I almost never meet people who are stoked on life who are also afraid of the sun. Like they're usually weird. They're weirdos who are like, not cool to be around. And I'm like, I don't want to be
beefs
anything
with
like that.
Brian Johnson. I like a lot of what he does because like he puts out a lot of good like data, and I appreciate him running all these experiments on himself and spending the money. But like the dude walks around an umbrella. The other weird thing with Brian Johnson, guys, is he lives in LA. I don't understand how someone so obsessed with health would not live in nature.
Yeah.
You have all this money. Like, live in nature. I mean, like, we're not like deep in nature right here, but we're surrounded by trees and the ocean. Like, we're in a pretty good spot as far as being still in like the modern world. And like, dude, LA is the worst like air quality ever. I was just there. I don't get
It's
it. I
nuts. I
don't
hate it.
get how you live there being so obsessed with health. Like Saladino's doing it right with Costa Rica. Like
For sure.
that's the move. I
Yeah,
might need to get a Costa Rica
I
house
know.
because like, yeah, you spent some time down in Costa
I
Rica.
did, yeah, with Paul actually at Paul's place, and it
Nice,
was awesome. Yeah, the way he lives is actually legit. Like I used to actually be
super
a
legit.
pretty big hater of Paul, to be honest. Like more of like a skeptic and somebody who I thought like a lot of his stuff was misinformation. And I would stick to that sometimes. Like I would tell him, and Paul and I have a business that we're working on together and everything. We're friends, but I would disagree with a lot of his short form content. But then I think like honestly, this is exactly how it happened. I was still working for a company that just didn't care about me. And I was like slave to the grind. I was under LED lights, like doing the whole doctor thing. And I took a break and I'm watching, I think it was like Will Tennyson did like Day in the Life
Oh
with
yeah.
Paul. He went to his house
Yep.
and like just like saw Paul's living. And I was like, inside like yearned for that. I'm like, that is how a human should be. Like, I need that. Like, I'm under these LED lights and just hating life, working 12, 16-hour days, 7 days a week, never going outside. Although I was still healthy 100%, but I was like, Paul's doing it right. And then I watched some of his long form and I'm like, oh, this guy's really well, he's articulate. He's like actually citing the studies. Like
Absolutely.
he had to do the short form to like, get the,
Yeah, the short form
popularity.
casts like wide nets. And like,
Yeah, exactly.
dude,
And I get it from a business standpoint. Like
yeah.
I'm there too. But it's like, when he was standing in like the grocery store and he says like a blanket statement, like broccoli's bullshit. And
Yeah.
that's like all you hear.
Mhm.
But then you hear him like he can talk about that for 3 hours and do the nuances.
sure.
And like he'll be like, well, potentially. And he says he cites all the studies. I'm like, okay, I can really appreciate that. But yeah, he's living the life out there, and he actually like he walks the walk and talks the talk. And like when you look at that, dude,
that right there, what you just said is the thing I care about the
Me too.
most with influencers, with creators, with people putting out a message about health. Like, do you actually live that way?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's so fucked up. And I've spent time with Paul. He genuinely
He does.
lives this way 100%.
Like-
and he's passionate about it more than anything. And like he will talk to people. But on the same thing, I appreciate even somebody like Jacob Foods. I don't like what he does, but he like loves seed oils and stuff. And like I'll watch his content. I'm like, I don't fuck with this.
Yeah.
But what I fuck with is I know the dude is like eating his seed oils. Well, he said he doesn't eat seed oils, but he does like live the life that he
Yeah.
says. I think is really important.
Paul so much like that. I thought this was crazy. This is a funny story, but like Paul so much lives that lifestyle. Like we went down into town into like a restaurant. He called ahead and told them to switch out the lights to red lights because we wanted to sit on the balcony on the patio, and he wasn't going to go under LED lights on the patio at night. He was like, no, like he had his people call and be like, can you switch out all the lights in the restaurant? So the restaurant literally turned into a red light like restaurant.
Hey, that's pretty.
I'm
pretty
like,
sick. That's
yeah,
a
this
boss
dude
move.
is actually like,
Yeah.
he actually lives this way. Like it wasn't for show. No one caught it on camera.
Oh yeah, oh dude, like off camera when I met up with him, he's like, "Here's like a liver smoothie with like raw glyphosate honey, like with berries. Like try this out." He really does live that way, and I appreciate that. But I do feel like people like my content a lot because like it is way more attainable, the stuff I talk about,
Yeah,
and
100%.
I'm not as strict. And I think a lot of people do look at Saladino's content, and sometimes they feel like, well, damn, I can't. There's no way I'm going to be able to get to Costa Rica and be eating at like a red light restaurant. But again, I love it because it's like you have to know a goal to like work towards and see. You have to in life be able to see different people doing different things and some of them extreme and then borrow from those like what works for you and then create your dream lifestyle. Like
100%.
and if you hate on the people doing the extreme stuff, it's just really dumb. Like if you enjoy playing pickup basketball, like you should study the game of Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving and LeBron and Michael Jordan and like you shouldn't hate that like Michael Jordan allegedly was like a shitty person to everybody around him because he wanted to get so good at basketball. You shouldn't do that in your life playing pickup hoops. But again, borrow from people and you will live a good life. So yeah, that's
Completely
cool.
agree. When you said the peptide, though, going back to that before we went on the sunlight tangent, I honestly, again, like I'm not super pumped on any of the peptides. A lot of these have been around for so long. Like, again, like I was finding these things on forums like 15 years ago, and we all use them then, and we all kind of came to the same conclusion, like, oh, these don't really work that well.
Yeah.
And now it's like this resurgence, and everyone's.
But isn't that why people kind of like them in a way? Because like they don't have such a big effect. Like it's not a big undertaking.
Sure.
So like when I even look at like Tessa Morell and like when you get into like a bodybuilding forum, people are like, this isn't gonna do shit. It's gonna cause a tiny increase in your natural growth hormone pulse. You want to get on actual growth hormone and like this.
Yeah.
But then I read that and I'm like, wait, but all I really need is like a tiny, tiny boost. Like I already feel good. I feel like that's why a lot of people are going towards the
I guess I
peptides.
would just like I think if we did an experiment with you where we brought your growth hormone, your IGF-1 more importantly up like 10% like you will get, I'm sure you wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah,
And that's like the
to
same
be
with
true. Yeah.
like with testosterone with like there's so many testosterone boosters out there too where they're like, oh, we're going to increase it 30% or whatever. And it's like not meaningful whatsoever. It's like
Yeah.
they have a 300 testosterone, you're going to increase it 30%, so you're going to go to 330. Like another thing people don't understand is like our testosterone fluctuates throughout the day.
Hmm.
I would get a lot of guys who were like, I used to be 500 and I just tested, I'm 450 now.
Oh,
I'm
bro. Yeah.
screwed.
You just got
And
a
I'm
night
like,
of
dude,
bad sleep.
yeah, like when you wake up in the morning, you may wake up with like 700 and by the time you're going to sleep, it's at like 400. Like that
Yeah.
is normal for your levels to lower and it's normal for them to lower day to day. So it's like, and you don't feel that much different. So like when a guy is like thinking I'm going to take this peptide or a hormone and I'm going to get this 10% increase, like you're probably not going to feel it.
Yeah.
So my argument there would just be like, hey, these aren't tested. We don't really know long-term like safety on it. We definitely know that like eating real food and exercising and getting sunlight is super effective.
Yeah.
Like, let's just start there. If you still feel like you need a little bit, cool. Like at this point in your life, like maybe you want to start toying with it. But again, I've seen so many guys go from where you're at now to adding these things in to
Just
feeling
feel
worse.
worse.
And and it's like,
I might
shit.
just stick with just my BPC. I like, I get a little injury from jiu-jitsu or whatever, and BPC has been cool. I've been
I think
messing with
BBC
that.
is really cool. Like I wish there was more human data on it. There was like the rat trial with the Achilles, which was cool to me being down in that part of the body when I was in medicine. They like severed the Achilles of mice or rats, one of the two, and then they injected BPC like directly into the tendon though, which is another thing. And then it healed quicker, which
Yeah.
was super cool. But there's none of that in humans, unfortunately. I think there's like one study maybe that hasn't been completely released, and I think it's on gut health. I don't know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that again, use case though, like I would never tell somebody to just be on BPC nonstop. Again, there's that theoretical risk that like you're increasing healing potential and VEGF, like all these factors that will increase the growth of all tissue, not
Yeah.
only good tissue, but bad tissue
Mhm.
too. So yeah, there's some use cases. Melanotan, I do think is one that's pretty sweet. Are you
I've heard
familiar with
I've
that?
heard
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
For like for those people who want to change their skin color, these looks maxers and things, I think it's cool. It's highly effective.
Doesn't it make you really horny?
It can. It's like it's an interesting thing. What I've experienced from it.
Mhm.
I don't experience horniness so much as just like uncontrollable erections. That just like it's like it's
Hey
kind
man,
of
those are close
yeah.
brothers, you know?
It's like, but it's kind of like I don't know
If Albert approached you right now with an uncontrollable erection, I'd be saying he's horny.
yeah. I mean,
He
maybe.
was like,
Well, I don't know. There's a difference for me, right?
No,
Like,
no, no. I get what you're saying.
so
Well,
it's
you're
like
a doctor. You're
morning-
looking at it from like a medical perspective.
Yeah, and
you know?
even just like personal.
If one of my friends is running after me with an uncontrollable erection, I'm gonna say they're gay.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, yeah, you can't say no homo to that. But like if you're, I don't know, like some people do wake up horny. But for me, I've always like morning erections, I usually do not have the arousal alongside of it. It's just there. It's like getting in the way of me trying to take a pee.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like I'm not like, I want to crush this girl right now. It's like, it's
Yeah.
just here and it's annoying. That's kind of how the melanotan is for me. It's like, I'll like stretch and then it's like, shit, there it is. And it's
So
like,
it's improving blood flow in some way.
it can, yeah. So it's working on the melanocortin pathway, which is really interesting. So it's like the same pathway that is responsible for skin pigmentation plays a role in libido and plays a role in vascular health, plays a role in mood. What else does it play a role? Appetite regulation. Really interesting. And
Does it make you more hungry or less hungry?
less hungry.
Less hungry.
Yeah. So,
So
like,
it leans you out. It makes your erections uncontrollable, and you get tan.
yeah, they used to call it the Barbie peptide, like back in the day, because it would, make
But
you
I've
skinny.
seen some people look like maybe they just do too much. But like if you look at like some before and afters, like people like really cook themselves.
They can.
People used to AI edit Clav. People would AI edit Clav. He was doing some like melanotan and I think at one point he said like he did a little bit too much and his like coloring got whatever. But they would like the edit that even more. The clippers.
Yeah.
Shit was pretty funny. He was laughing at it.
It'll also tan parts of you that would be like dark
The
without
bottoms
sun.
of your feet, right?
Yeah, that can be dangerous. Like if you're getting a lot of pigment in the palms and the bottoms of your feet where there isn't pigment, there's a concern for like melanoma. Those are dangerous ones that aren't caused by the sun.
Yeah.
Like the most dangerous type of skin cancer is melanoma, and it's not caused by the sun.
Mhm.
I mean, I can almost say that with certainty. A lot of them aren't. Like if you're getting it on the sole of your foot, that's
Mhm.
not caused by the sun.
Yeah.
They're largely genetic or something else is happening, not the sun. And melanotan, again, that's like the biggest theoretical risk there.
Yeah.
Is if you're increasing these melanocytes to be kind of just nonstop cranked out, aren't you increasing the probability that one of them comes out wrong and turns into a skin cancer? And I would say like, yeah, probably. But then interestingly, I think like 3 years ago, they did a study where they injected, I think it was either injected or applied topically melanotan on melanomas and saw a significant reduction in them.
Interesting.
Yeah, but like that would be different. Like an injection, an interlesional injection, or a topical would be different than systemic. So you just don't know.
Yeah,
But I think
don't.
like
I
like
get.
if we're-
I like absorb sun pretty well because I got like
yeah,
my mom's
yeah,
side of
you're
my
super tan.
genetics, and so like I like do well with the sun. But I could see like if I was naturally like way more pale, like you do
Yeah.
look better when you're tan.
I think like again, use cases for all of these. There's these use cases that I think could be potentially beneficial for small periods of time. And if it's like you're inside all of the time and then you're about to take off like down near the equator, you're going to Costa Rica,
Mm,
you're loaded up on seed oils and everything, you know you're going to fry. Like you should maybe look into melanotan
Yeah.
for a few weeks before and like slowly get some more sun exposure. And then there could be the theoretical like argument that you're reducing your risk for skin cancer because we know that people with more melanin in their skin get less skin
For sure.
cancer. So if you're able to build up that kind of like solar callus, what we would call it,
Yeah.
which is a tan, then maybe you're going to have less downstream detrimental effect from the sun when you go out in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And so are there any other things as a doctor, seeing all this blood work, seeing clients often that you're excited about or think is really important lately?
I think blood work in general is just super exciting and worth doing, and not a lot of people do it. That's something I've always been stoked on, and I see the argument in from both sides. Like my side is like, let's do it. Like, why wouldn't you want to see what's under the hood? And then I
Mhm.
see the side, the argument of the side from the normal doctors, which is like, let's not go looking for something that's not causing an issue.
Yeah,
Like,
but I hate that argument
I do,
just
I
like you do
do.
because it's like, bro, like if somebody's HbA1c is
Right.
6 and they don't know that,
100%.
that is like, sure, you can get into like nuanced conversations where it's like, okay, you're at a 5.7 or 5.6. Like, okay, it's not like the end of the
Yeah.
world. Like, let's like,
So I
whatever.
would
But like, it's a pretty red flag.
yeah.
Like, you can get like your inflammatory biomarkers, like CRP is really interesting to look at, HbA1c, like we were saying. And if those are crazy out of whack,
Right.
it's serious.
I 1000% agree with you, which is why I started ALGO RX, which we started with labs only because I was so adamant on people getting labs. I guess where I would get where the pushback would come more would be markers like when you go to a lot of these longevity clinics, they'll order like everything under the sun and
Mhm.
these like functional medicine and some of these markers like yeah, they could mean one thing, but they could mean a million other things. Like there's one just comes to mind, like alpha fenoprotein, AFP. Like it could mean testicular cancer, it could mean liver cancer, it could mean nothing at all.
Yeah.
And like you're just ordering this with no reason or no rationale, and then you're freaking somebody out. And now we have to go potentially expose them to like radiation and things, get imaging and like maybe poke and prod around and like
Yeah.
so that's where like the other doctors are saying like let's not order these crazy tests for everybody. When it comes to things like insulin, A1C, hormones, like I think we should be testing it. The things that pisses me off is like so many guys go to their doctor at 16, 17, whatever, and they're like, I'm super bummed all the time. Like I don't want to talk to girls. I don't want to hang out with my friends. The only thing that I do is play video games, and even that sucks. And my parents bum me out. And like I'm just bummed all the time. And then they just jump to right away, it's your serotonin. How the fuck do you know it's your serotonin?
That's
They
true.
don't know
It's
they're
crazy.
not running a test. And then if you say like maybe you should test their testosterone, it's like no, we wouldn't do that. They're young, they look healthy. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like you're willing to give them a drug that's going to change their brain chemistry, and you don't even know what their brain chemistry is, but you're not willing to test their testosterone to see if maybe that's impacting
Yeah.
it. And I would argue that more guys are depressed from low testosterone than they are low serotonin.
Yeah.
Like I would even argue that, well, I think I would say with certainty that serotonin is not causing depression.
Yeah.
And that, putting people on SSRIs is only making their life worse. In my opinion, serotonin, if you look at it, it's usually produced under times of like really great stress or like famine or something. So like when you look at I like to look at everything like teleologically, which is kind of like the explanation of why. I like if I can understand why ancestrally these things happened, it helps me to just kind of understand things a lot better. So like when you look at why is serotonin made and in these like stressful situations, like imagine like your whole tribe gets wiped out.
Mhm.
Saber-tooth tiger comes in, eats everybody. Like serotonin kicks in, it blunts you. It makes you kind of numb and blunts your reaction to it, so you can get through that really traumatic period and
Yeah.
then move on. But we're putting people on that all the time. So like, they're feeling just blunted, emotionless all the time.
Yeah.
And we say, this is a fix. Yeah, they're not depressed anymore, but they're not anything. They're gray. They went from black to gray, and like they don't see any white. They don't see, like, the rainbow's done. It really sucks. Where, like, conversely, I think we should be dopamine maxing for sure, where it's like much more like forward thinking. Like, we want to be moving towards something. We want to be chasing goals. Serotonin does the exact opposite, makes you not want to do anything, just complacent. You agree with whatever you're told. Like, I don't like to get into conspiracy theories, but it's like, it's kind of weird that we just hand these out like candy.
Yeah.
And there's something that just makes you be like law abiding, like, yes, sir, and listen to everything that people say and don't think anything about it. It's wild. Where testosterone would increase your dopaminergic neurons and improve your dopamine receptors and make you more willing to question authority and push against it and
100%.
try to be a better human, like a better person.
Dude, I credit my high testosterone. Like, when I started dialing in my health, obviously my testosterone went up, and this was in my early 20s when I started doing this. And like, it's no mistake that I started going after being an entrepreneur, creating my own path, starting companies, just seeing through all the bullshit. Like, oh no, I could do this. Like, I don't need anybody's help necessarily. I don't need to just like work for somebody. Like, I could do this. I could do this thing better. I could make this product better. And that comes from a, like you're saying, like high testosterone, proper like dopamine regulation mindset. And yeah, I mean, we're cooking people, bro. I mean, 1 out of 10 kids are on ADHD meds.
It's insane.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, SSRIs, ADHD meds, they're under fluorescent light, which is like the junk food of light. They're eating junk food. They're not moving. They're seeing porn. They're on TikTok. It's insane.
Yeah.
Actually, this morning I saw this super interesting thing. Have you ever heard of like the mouse utopia study?
No.
I was reading about it. Super interesting. So I guess it was like 60s or 70s. They put mice in a utopia. They gave them all the food they could ever want, all the shelter. There was no predators. I think it started with just like 4 mice, 2 men, 2 women, and they reproduced like crazy. And then they had all this insane amount of social interaction, and everything was taken care of them. So it was super soft environment. Everything's taken care of, and they were nonstop interacting with each other. And then eventually what they saw is all of a sudden some men started getting super violent, which kind of reminded me of like the red pill guys. And then, they had this, they actually called it the beautiful ones. They had other guys who got obsessed with grooming themselves and became hyper beautiful. They didn't have sex anymore. They didn't fight anymore. They didn't really go for status. They more just cared about how they looked.
Looks maxers.
Exactly. I was like, this is crazy. And I thought, like, we're in this super soft environment, which we've never been in before. And we're over socialized, which is what they were talking. They weren't so much talking about population, but more over socialization, which is what we are, because we used to potentially be exposed to like 100 people max, and now it's like millions of people. Like, how many different people do you interact with? A swipe is kind of interacting. You're walking into that person's life for a second and caring about it for a millisecond. So it's like thousands of people that you're exposed to every day. And it was just crazy to me. I was like, this is super interesting that, like, oh yeah, women no longer wanted to have children. That's something we see now too.
Yeah.
It was just super interesting. You should look into it, make a reel on it or something.
Dude, yeah, that is
I'd never heard of it until this morning. I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, damn, this is nuts.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I had that anthropology background in school where I was able to see like, oh, okay, this is where we come from. This is kind of how we're supposed to live. And when I say supposed to live, it's like, no, you don't have to live exactly like that, but you can't outrun your biology.
Yeah.
This is like how we lived for 99.9% of the time we've been here, and we haven't outrun that.
Yeah.
So then when you try to fight against it so much, shit just starts breaking.
Yes.
And yeah, we're trying to fight against it just way too much. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why people don't feel good. And that's why I think more than, I brought up the pollutants, pesticides, things like that. Those do impact us, but I think more than anything, lifestyle's impacting testosterone and everything. And there's so much that goes into producing testosterone. And at the end of the day, like, most people could have much higher levels if they did have lower body fat and if they were more insulin sensitive. All of these things would dramatically increase your testosterone. We could talk about like why that is, but I just think that, like, if people just got back to being more like a human, like you said, kind of like what we're supposed to be, most ailments would just disappear.
Yeah, 100%. Last question I'm going to lead you off with is, as a doctor, what are some things people can be doing for sleep and before their workouts that you think are really high ROI?
Well, I would say, first, I probably should have said this in the beginning. Like, I don't really consider myself much of like a doctor as an expert on this stuff. I think most of this comes through anecdotal stuff and personal experience and things. I don't want to come off as like, I'm certainly not a sleep specialist, not an endocrinologist, anything like that. But when it comes to sleep, that's a tough one. It's one that I've always struggled with too. I think my sleep was dysregulated for a long time. One, from school and then like residency, and the steroids honestly screwed up my sleep so bad. And I finally just now dialed it in.
You did Tren?
Yeah.
Did Tren make you gay?
Oh, it didn't make me gay, but it did
Yeah,
make me
it's
weird.
Zahir. My buddy
No,
Zahir.
it can do it.
Okay, this is the second person that my buddies are here. We're watching the UFC. We're having a nice peaceful night, and the topic of trend comes up, and my buddy Zahir goes, "Well, I had a buddy who started doing trend, and it made him gay." And what I said to him is, "Zahir, this was a gay gentleman before."
I don't know.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
tell me about trend then.
Yeah,
making
this
people
is
gay.
this is
Chat,
pretty
let me
well
know what up.
documented. Like, and I don't necessarily like I was gonna say luckily that's gonna get me canceled. Like, luckily I'm not gay. But like it didn't change my
Your
sexual
cancel's coming
orientation.
on you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck it. But no, it like I would definitely find like if I'm with my lady or like looking at porn or anything, like some things I'm like clicking on, like that's a little more interesting now. And I'm thinking, what the fuck am I looking at this shit for? Like,
Dude,
a little bit more
trend.
deviant. And that, like, if you look at like the Reddit forums and things, like Derek, More Plates, More Dates has made a few funny ones where he just like reads the Reddit forums where
Mhm.
people are saying this stuff. Like dudes being like, I never liked pegging. I thought that shit was gross. And then as soon as I got on trend, like my lady had to peg me every night. Like that's the only way I could get off. And
Fascinating. This sounds like it might be an excuse for a lot of people, but I've never done trend.
so
I don't know.
what I did, which I'll definitely cop to and admit to, is I was very, I cheated a lot on trend. And I don't want to say that it was like the drug that made me do it. Maybe I was just a cheater. I think
But if it makes if it does like warp your
Yeah.
brain and affects
Like,
those like
I still think I'm that same person. I don't do this anymore. So like, I do think that it aided in it, but like, I think what I struggled with, like, again, like I said, I was always very concerned with how I looked and I wanted to be more attractive and I wanted to have worth. And there was a point in my life when I got like this really good physique and I was like in med school and people respected me and I felt like I could pull any girl that I wanted. And I got super addicted to that. And I was obsessed with like pulling a new girl every night. And it was like fucked up too. Cause I wouldn't just like, hook up with them. I would like make them fall in love with me.
Mhm.
Like it was this weird mind thing. Like I wanted to make sure that they were like obsessed with me because it made me like,
Dude, when
it
I
was
was
an
at my
external
most
validation.
when I was at my most insecure like shitty self in high school, I like when I was like 16, 17, I tried to create like love triangles with girls, like same thing, bro.
That's
I
interesting.
did.
Yeah.
And it fed me, but I was so insecure and like thank
Yes.
God I'd like gotten rid of all that shit by the time I met my wife and I was very secure in myself. So
Yeah.
like I've never had that in this relationship because like I just want the love from this one
Right.
woman now because I don't feel like insecure. Like I do want her
Yeah, you want-
validation
yes.
like immensely, but like I literally don't give a fuck about anybody else's
100%.
validation. I just don't care.
That's exactly
But it's
how it
interesting.
was.
It's like that was after I got over like massive like insecurities.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little insecure here and there,
Right.
right? But like I it's interesting, like you're saying, like
Yeah.
like when I was at my most insecure, I was like trying to play those.
Yeah,
evil
it was like
games.
really weird. And there was like a point when on the trend, like, and again, I look back at it now, I'm like, this is so fucked. Like I would I think I had like 7 girls at a time. And this is not like I'm not like flaunt, like this is not cool. It's not a flex to me. If anything, is like,
I know,
fucked
but
up.
that's the thing, bro. Now I get older and I'm like, I was thinking about Elon Musk has like 14 baby mamas or whatever it is. And I was like, bro, that is a crazy, dark, weird
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, what is like going on there? Like, respect him. He's a great entrepreneur, all that stuff. But I'm like, if that was like one of my friends, like if I'm like, if like one of my friends had like $500 million and they have like 14 baby mamas, I would grab them and be like, what are you doing, bro?
Right.
Like, this is weird.
Yeah. So again,
emailing Epstein on like Christmas.
Yeah, emailing Epstein on Christmas, and yeah, there's some overlap, bro, with the whole Epstein files thing. There's some overlap I've been talking about like dudes who get to some amount of money and they still like they work so hard they don't spend time with their wife, they
Yeah.
don't spend time with their kids. Like there's some overlap and sickness of that with like being like a weird diddler because like everybody in this room right now, it's like if I give you hundreds of millions of dollars, you're gonna be like, oh, sick. I can spend more time with my wife, more time with my
Yeah.
kids. I can do more fun things with my friends. And these dudes have that, and they literally don't do that. Like you see now it's exposed their relationships. It's like this dude's trying to get antibiotics to slip in his wife's drink because he got a STD on Epstein's island.
Yeah.
Like what? It's like, bro, that guy Bill Gates has a house in Del Mar. It's like, go learn to surf, bro.
right.
What are you talking about? Go take out one of those $10,000 electric surfboards that I had. We were like, oh, can we buy these? Like maybe shit, we could walk on the beach. Bro, and it's like their brains, like you're saying, are warped. They're
Yeah.
not on trend, but they're warped brains.
Yeah, but that's what I found was like the cheating is something that I did for sure. And because again, when I look back, I like don't feel like I'm that person, and
Yeah.
it's more like a dream. Like I feel like I'm outside of my body because I just remember like I would hook up with one chick, and then like immediately like be putting on my clothes, texting the next one, like I'm gonna go meet you, and then I'm gonna meet another girl
Some
after. And then
crazy
on the way, I'm like,
dopamine rush.
yeah, it's just insane. And I was like so addicted to that for a while. Meanwhile, like in school and doing all my other shit, and I'm just like, what was I doing? So that's like how it
I
changed.
think I think a lot of young men want that. And like
They
when I was in
don't.
high school, I know that's
Yeah.
the thing. They don't. We can speak on that now, but like, yeah, like there's some idea that like it's like I want to like conquer chicks. Like I want to like you don't even know, bro. I'm about to have a roster. I'm gonna conquer chicks, and it puts you in an extremely dark place.
It does.
I've actually known a lot of these guys when they're young. What actually ends up happening, guys, is they end up getting one or two of them pregnant. They realize they don't like them. They're horrible partners because this wasn't somebody you were going after to like actually be a partner. So now like you are like really cool, like for cool, and people are like, damn, this dude's like 23, he's conquering all these chicks, he's sick. And two of them get pregnant. Then you hate them. Now you're in a custody battle. Now you have like visitation rights on your kids. And now you're still kind of in that lifestyle. You're out partying a lot, drinking a lot. Now you're just a weird 30-something-year-old dude at a club. You have like two baby mamas. You're broke because of that. Ugh, that's bad life.
I get it for sure. And I think that I still struggle with it to some extent. Like I would be lying if I said like I never think about like, yeah, if I'm like, I hope that girl's looking at me thinking I'm hot or whatever, but then I can ground myself like, why? And I
Mhm.
think about it, like if I actually think about it, like, okay, what if I did go hook up with that girl? Like when I'm done, it's going to be no different than when I'm done with my wife, but I will have risked that like with my wife, which would suck. But I'll also like maybe I leave my wife and go with this girl because she's super novel for a little bit.
Mhm.
Like 3-4 months in, she's going to be just as boring as my wife is. You know,
Yeah,
it's like when I have my married friends tell me like, oh, I'm bored, we just sit around at night. I'm like, you're going to do that with anybody else. Eventually you'll get to that point. Like nothing is ever going to be perfect forever. So like just find the person that you can do life with that you're like, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of pride in it. And it's hard to articulate for me, but I know you know it too. It's like when you
Bro,
find that
I
person.
look forward to like nothing. There's nothing else in a day that I look forward to more than getting home,
Hell
opening
yeah.
that door. My wife is there, the little dogs are there, and I'm so happy to like spend
It's
time with her.
yes.
And I get a lot of young men are like, dude, it's not out there. It's really hard to find. I agree with them. There's nothing that I'm gonna say to them right now. It's like, yes, that is hard to find.
Maybe.
Difficult does not mean impossible. This is the other thing I got in little arguments with Clav about of like they do bring up a lot of legit statistics of yo, men who look better are this height, who look like this, have better stats. Look at the stats, look at the stats, dating app stats, all this stuff. But man, like if I just lived my life based off stats, like I don't know, I
Right.
wouldn't be where I'm at, today.
100%.
And like you have to just like if you're gonna live your life based on stats, you might as well give up now, bro.
I completely agree. And I think, yeah, that's one thing that I'm really confused about with this generation. Again, I like feel like I come at this from the point of like old onk, stupid, you don't get it. But then I was like, okay, I don't get it. I don't get it. Let me try to understand. So I'm thinking about like the economy and everything because they all say like we're screwed, we're
Yeah,
cooked,
yeah,
we
yeah.
can't buy a house. I'm like, okay, so let me look at the objective facts. Let me remove my subjective opinion about it. When was the hardest times to live in the US? And I looked at it and it was like post depression. Makes a lot of sense. The second other time that was the hardest was 2008, right when you and I got out of high school. When did you get out of high school?
2010.
2010. So I got out in 2006. So I was in college in 2008. That's like, it was objectively significantly harder in 2008 to make it than it is now in 2026. And like, we're both millionaire dudes in our 30s now. And again, not a flex. It's like, we made it. Like,
Yeah.
had somebody told me at that point, like, this is the worst time in history and like, you're never going to make it, maybe I would have believed them. I didn't know.
Mhm.
I just blindly did it. And it's like, life will get better. It's going to fucking suck. And it's part of becoming a man. And it's part of the life experience. You're going to go through some hard shit.
Yeah.
And the harder your circumstances are, the better story you've got too. Like I love, I think Hormozy said, like when people say like, oh, I came from poverty and he's like, yeah, you're right. You're never going to make it. And they're like, wait, what? And he's like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. It's like you're from poverty. The economy sucks. Women don't like men anymore. Like you're never going to have a girl. Like, and then what? And then usually people push back, they're like, wait a minute. No, that's not true. And like, okay, keep that.
Yes.
Like, in your heart, it's not true. You're just using it as a coping mechanism right now.
Dude, you 100%.
And then it's like-
you as a man, you have to like fight, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like you guys don't think that I
You
sat there
want
at
to.
some point in like my 20s, like, all right, I don't have a lot of money. I'm working a job I don't like. Like, I like it's like a fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to take the shit that maybe isn't perfect in your life and be like, no, watch, motherfucker. I'm
Yeah.
going to like get this done, and it's possible. But
And it's such
yeah.
a cool story too. If it's harder for you, because it's like the person who was like, oh yeah, I got gifted, $3 million when I was 18 and then I invested it. And that's not a cool story.
No.
But then conversely, if you're like, I came out into this crazy world in 2026 and no one could buy a house and everybody was talking about you couldn't find a mate, and I found this really hot chick and we got married and we bought a house and I started a business, like that's a sick story.
Yeah.
Like just hold on to that. Like you should be stoked that your adversity is harder than other people's. Like, I don't
100%.
know, and just make it cooler. It's going to be a much radder story. You're going to be way more pumped on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, everybody's always said it, but it's so true. Like if you get the cheat codes of video games, they're boring.
Mhm.
Like you want it to be hard. There needs to be some bit of hard, and it sucks in the moment, but looking back, you're like, that's sick. Like my friend and I through school together. Like I don't even use my degree anymore. And I'm in all this, like, or I was in all this debt from it. And I like think like that was fucking stupid, but I'm like, would I redo it? 100%.
Yeah.
Like it was so hard and it was so cool that I did that. And I can look back and be like, I did that. Like him and I got up, every morning at 3 and worked out. And then
Yeah.
we would like hop on the train and go into the city and like do our rotations for like 12 hours and then go home and study. And I would like sleep 4 hours. And like, it's so sick that I was able to do that to build this life,
Yeah.
know? And I would like, you want things to be hard. It's part of being a man. Like be pumped on the fact that it's hard.
100%. And like you're saying, man, you shouldn't try to be wired to be happy all the time. That's not
true
life.
too.
Like you just
Yeah.
have to find contentness and peace, and of course some happiness. But like you got to start to like love the waves of life. 100%. Like that's
Content.
really
Being stoked on
content.
being content, and content is pretty cool.
It is.
It's really nice, dude. It's like, I get that it's like fun to like go after a different girl and have that like what they call limerence. That's the stage where it's like really exciting, kind of the honeymoon period. And that is fun, but like it's a lot better to be comfortable and content, right? I think
100%.
like it's kind of stressful to be
Yeah.
in that where you're like,
100%.
shit, like I can't fart and like, like
Yeah,
oh, do
yeah,
I look
yeah.
okay? And like, and I'm texting this girl and does she like me? I don't know. And like, I don't know. It's kind of like, it is fun, but it's just better, I think. And it grounds you as a man when you like get past that. So I think everybody should really be yearning for that. And I think it's bullshit to say that like they can't do it these days.
Yeah.
It's
It
just
is.
like, it's like objectively wrong.
Really, there's
like,
like they said, there's no good woman out there.
I
No.
think
Really,
like you're being
billions of women, dog. Like,
yeah, people are programmed. Like, who is telling you this?
Yeah.
Like, push back against that, because I
Well,
think
the
they're
thing is, the
programming-
environments a lot of these dudes are in. It's like, yes, bro, at ASU at a bar
right?
at 3 a.m. I would not try to find a good woman there.
Yeah, me
Okay.
neither. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like let's look in some other environments, and I bet those stats of like, and you also have to be like intelligent as like a man, like in the beginning stages of a relationship, like basic shit, like how does this woman treat her family? How does she get along with she treat like the waiter or waitress at a restaurant? Like, there's like basic shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I know a dude who's telling me a story of like everything was like going well with a chick, but like she hated, like she was like rude to like dogs and like animals, and I was like, bro, that would be like the
Done.
biggest like red flag with me. Like, my wife like literally like treats like the little dogs we have like so well. It's like a good sign, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
she's gonna
like
be a great mom.
yeah, exactly. It's not like it's suddenly gonna go to like, oh yeah, no, she just didn't care about the kids. Yeah, the little dog she like cared so much about, but no, it's gonna translate. So yeah, you have to be like intelligent as a man, not be an idiot,
Yeah.
not be like a pushover, but like yeah, it's
I
out
would
there.
I would just question too, like who the fuck is telling you that you can't make it? Like,
Yeah.
are they telling you that for a reason because they don't want you to make it? Maybe, like, even if it's not true, like get that in your mind. Like somebody's trying to tell me that I can't make it, and they're probably lying to me. Because I
You gotta
definitely
fight
like
back
that's
against
all
that
we can
shit.
see.
I remember I had a sales manager at a job that I had. This lady, Lawrence. She was the worst. Lawrence, if you're watching this, I mog you, okay? And I remember getting on a call with her, and she's like, "How much money would you like to make at this company?" And I was like, "I think it'd be amazing, like to be able to make like 150K here, And she was like, well, look, I don't know if you're ever gonna be able to make that here, and like this, that, and she started going this long tirade about how like difficult it is to like even make that amount of money and like this whole thing. And I get off that call, I was just like so discouraged. Now it's like, bitch, I make that in a month now, Lawrence.
Yeah.
Where you at? Like, if
Exactly.
you let that shit seep in, then it's gonna seep in. It's gonna program you subconsciously of like, this person above me said that I'm not gonna be able to make this. It's
Yeah.
tough, and that's why I try to inspire people, so they can hear the other side of it. It's like you
Yeah.
can do anything, but
I
like
do think you
kids
can.
now also, dude, like they just like set blocks where they'll be like, like the Jews run everything
know,
or something.
it's
That's like a
wild.
big thing, and it's like, okay, so like 7 out of the top 50 richest people are Jewish. Yeah, that's a fact. APAC is pretty bad. Yeah, that's a fact. Okay, wait, how is that stopping you from
I
like
know.
from like succeeding in life? Like
Yeah.
literally, like is there really like a Jewish dude that is making it so you can't start a company, or like you can't start like a like contracting business, or like, dude, go to school, become a plumber, then start your own plumbing company. Our plumber pulled up in a Ford Raptor with an Audi RSQ8 following him.
Oh yeah.
Huh? Like, become a plumber, start
Yeah.
your own plumbing business. There's a million ways to do it, and there's not a Jewish dude
I
stopping you
know.
from that.
Yeah, this stuff is wild, dude. I'm exposed to all of it now because I started Algo and it was mainly for the young kids. And it's like now, like when I'm on the Algo page, 'cause I run all like the social media on there, like all I see is like this anti-Semitism stuff. And like the thing is like I don't know if it's true or not. I really do not give a fuck. Like
Dude, I think
do not care.
it's to cause division, because
Yeah.
I just did a post in it where, because I did a podcast with the Nelk Boys and people joke because they had like Netanyahu on. I did a
Oh,
post
okay.
like,
Yeah,
yo, like, and there's a
lot.
lot of memes of like Netanyahu with them and all this shit. I'm like, yo, I hate Netanyahu. I think he should be prosecuted for war crimes. I think that a lot of people in the IDF should be prosecuted for war crimes. I think what happened in Gaza, and it's still happening, is absolutely horrible. That, for a lot of people, those facts, which I do hold as facts, that has translated to a lot of young people going, I hate all Jews,
Right.
and like beating up some like 13-year-old Jewish kid. It's like, you guys, that's like where I'm like, you're just hating on your fellow Americans.
Yeah.
And like, I go to my jiu-jitsu gym, there's like Jewish people there who, like, they're my friends, they're Americans. They don't want to see anybody of having death and despair in the
So
Gaza
weird.
Strip. And like, the separation from them just being like a Jewish person living in America, like not like crazy, like political. Like, if you actually ask them, they'll be like, yeah, I don't know why there's APAC. Like, they don't even they don't support it. The separation from that is like the same as just being a normal American citizen, being like, you killed a bunch of people in Afghanistan. They're like, what? No, I don't agree with that. But like, you're an American citizen. This is what you support. So I think a lot of it's just like to sow division and make
Yeah.
people hate their fellow Americans.
And
It's crazy.
like I would even be a little different than you because like you've mentioned names. Like I know who Netanyahu is, but like I do not know about what's going
Yeah, a
on
lot
in
of
that
people just
war.
don't have
I
the-
don't,
the-
this eight
yeah.
pack. Did you say 8-pack?
Yeah, APAC's like this organization that's funded from Israel and has a lot of too much political
Yeah,
influence.
I've never heard
But the
of
thing
that.
is, bro, like, I asked my Jewish friend at jiu-jitsu, like, what? He's like, that shit's fucked up. I
I've
think
never
that's
heard of
horrible.
that.
Like,
And honestly, I think that I'm better off. And I would probably get flack for this because people say you need to be informed and stuff. But my pushback would be, why the
no,
fuck
I'm
do I
I'm
need
about
to be
to
informed?
I'm gonna make a
It
bag
does
of money
not
and
change my life in any
Yeah.
way. So if I was an 18-year-old kid right now and I was hyper focused on Palestine or Israel
Mhm.
or somebody like millions of miles away, thousands of miles away, that does not impact me in any way, how would I ever get anything done?
yeah,
Like
it's tough.
you just can't. So like just stop caring. Like you should care about what your parents think about you at that age. If you have a spouse, them and your kids, your dog, your aunt, like those are the people that you should care about. And that's it.
Mhm.
You'll be so much better off.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I
a
wholeheartedly
problem,
agree
yeah.
with that. Like never in human history have we ever been able to hear what's going on across the world.
Yeah.
Like live updates. Like you and I could start streaming a war right now if we wanted.
Yeah.
We could pull up like Ukraine war
100%.
stream and get involved in it. But how would that better us?
No,
Like-
our brains aren't wired for it, and I do think there's the way that social media algorithms, media companies, and just the way the world is right now is like, the more you divide people and the more you get them to hate others, there's intense
Yes.
profitability in that. So like, I just see it with a lot of the current issues going on right now, where the actual stats show that we're more together as Americans than not.
Interesting.
But they'll
yeah.
take this little piece and they'll double down on it, triple down on it to divide people and
Yeah.
get everybody thinking it's one way or the other. And people just can't handle a nuanced opinion. Like,
Yeah.
like the video I made, I'm gonna post soon. It's like, I don't fuck with these things that happened in Gaza, for example. I like to like look into it. It's horrible. But then to extrapolate that to, I hate all Jewish people, even if I've never had a conversation with them. Like, yeah, I hate them all. Like, you've lost the plot, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like for most people, just don't even know about it. And I've trained the hell out of my algorithms. Like the ALGO one is, yes, it's trained on like anti-Semitism, mogging, fucking all kinds of shit that I don't care about because those are who follow us. And it's like, I'm like, damn kids. Like, again, I don't want to be the young, but I'm like, just chill. But then my personal algorithm is rad. Like it's skateboarders and puppies and food.
Yes.
And like, like you can train the algorithm.
Oh,
like,
I'm getting into spearfishing lately. So like, I just, every few days I look up spearfishing Mexico, spearfishing California.
Yeah.
And then the algorithm just shows me a lot of spearfishing shit.
There's been times when like, I'll see an Epstein post and it was like Pizzagate or something. I'm like, oh, this is fucking crazy. And I'm like reading about it. And then the next thread is that too. And I'm reading about that. And then I'm like 5 minutes in and I've seen like 20 different, so then I go, well, not interested. Like I need to step back and tell
Dude, I need to start doing that with the
yeah,
Epstein
dude,
stuff.
not interested in all
but
that.
I also like,
when I see a girl's booty hole, not interested.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Oh, dude, they've done the studies
because
where,
of course I'm zooming like, ooh, like I can see, and I'm like, no, not interested. You're gonna get in trouble.
the lady, some lady did a study with Instagram Reels where I think she got a bunch of phones and she set them to different ages, and it's like if you are a young man, even if you're scrolling as fast as you possibly can, like, and you're still gonna look because it's your primal brain, like you're 18-year-old dude, like, are you kidding? You're gonna look. She did this, and like it still shows men this stuff. Even
does it?
Oh, 100%. You have to like spend like hours clicking not interested. It's going to show you like,
I feel like
reels of shit.
It's helped me a lot for doing that though. I don't get as much. Like my personal algorithm is like I get a lot of dogs and skateboarding.
That's
like
good.
mainly,
That's
it's
good.
sick.
That's a good algorithm.
Yeah, it helps me. It helps my stoke so much. Like I feel like again when I go on the algo page, I come out like kind of bummed. I'm like, shit, are Jews really ruling me? And like how like what
I can't work out today. There's a Jewish guy.
And like I'm ugly as fuck. Like too.
Yeah.
Like I'm
gonna get frame mogged at ASU.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. So I would just say, like, just try to, and I know it's so hard, but like, if you could just try to forget about that and just focus on yourself and like, don't listen to anybody telling you that the world is a certain way. Like, make the world
for
like,
sure.
Have
And,
agency.
at least view these things from a sense of humor. That's what I think we've also lost, and where I feel like people have like, you know, like you're saying racism and stuff. Like, if I like make a Mexican joke to like, I make Mexican jokes to my wife. They're funny. I think most of them are pretty funny. That is not racism.
Right.
That's called being funny. My Jewish buddies at jiu-jitsu, if I go out to eat with them and one of them gets up when the bill comes and I make a Jewish joke, that's funny. These people have gotten so negative where they're like actually racist. They're like, oh, like I hate all Mexicans or I hate all Jews.
Yeah,
like that's not
wild.
even like you've lost yourself. You're not even in like a fun world. So yeah, racism
I miss
can
when
be funny.
we all just made fun of each other. Like when, I grew up, my best friend was black and like, I would go over to his house and his mom would call me like her little nig. And like, it would just be like, they would just make fun of me for being white, the whole time.
That is funny.
It was objectively funny.
100%.
And then we would call each other gay and retards. And it's like, we didn't care. Like we would never be mean to an actual retard.
I'm bringing,
like,
exactly. I'm bringing that back. I mean, my friends and I, we call each other gay and retarded. And it's like, I can't be canceled. I run my own company. Like I have money. So it's like, if you want to say that, oh, you hate retarded people, it's like, you look like a retard if you say that.
Exactly.
Like, no, I don't hate retarded
I love the South
people.
Park
Like,
episode. You see that one with I think it was the fag. Did you see that one where
no.
They were like, they went to like court and they're like getting tried. Like, why are you using this word fag? Do you hate gay people? I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with being gay. And they're like, I don't know. I can't explain. He's like, all right, say you got like a Harley Davidson and you have no respect for anybody else and you drive up and down blaring your music and revving your Harley up and down the street. What would you call that person? And they're like, a fag.
Yeah,
like, exactly.
100%.
And it's like, but what if he's gay? And they're like, then he's a gay fag.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah, it's like, it has nothing to do with your
we need to
sexual
bring that
orientation.
back. I completely agree with you. Well, Dr. Hotch, it's been amazing.
Thanks, man.
I'm getting hungry. I think we should go eat. Yeah, dude, stoked, man. You're crushing it, man. Guys, hit him up. Anything you want to plug? ALGO RX?
Yeah, ALGO for all of you who don't want to listen to my advice and do want to do the stuff. And that's why I made it. I think like if
at least a safe source for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think like if you're getting into business too, one of the best things that I learned was like build something that you either wish you had currently or that a previous version of yourself had. And I wish that I had ALGO because I was doing a lot of steroids and I didn't have anywhere to test my blood work because my doctors wouldn't do it. They would test a CBC maybe at all. And that's it. I couldn't tell them I was on steroids because I would get a lecture and I didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get the ancillary medication. So we should probably do another podcast on like the things that you should prevent, like blood pressure and cholesterol and things like this. I made a platform where like you can get lab work and you can get cholesterol medication and blood pressure medication. You can literally come to us and say like, I'm an 18-year-old bodybuilder running a ton of tren and my blood pressure is super high. And we can get you something like telmisartan and we'll send it directly to you. And again, like I'm not condoning it, but it's like, I wish like,
this is where we're at.
It's like, I know you're going to do it. I did it. And
it's going back to like your actual work as like a doctor of like somebody's in there and they need their foot amputated or else their leg's going to get amputated. And you're like, it's dumb to you to lecture them about, hey, you shouldn't have been eating crumble cookie all day. Yeah. It's like, we need to help what's happening now. So yeah, if there's an 18-year-old blasting tren, being
It's
gay.
like-
You know, that,
Exactly.
but yeah, they might need some cholesterol medication.
We just
ASAP.
wanted you to be able to do things safer and hopefully not die when running gear. But also a lot of, just performance people use our services too for lab work and everything like that. So yeah, ALGO is where you can find me. My own social, Dr. Hotch. I don't post much anymore because I'm just busy living life. I
Yeah.
love it. Like I hate being online. I try to avoid it. I want to look at puppies and food and skating and surfing, and that's about it. So I try not to do much of the
I
posting and
completely
stuff.
agree with you. Guys, you better savor my content now because when I have kids, I'm going to scale it back massively and I'm going to be in a house in Mexico or Costa Rica or
Hell yeah.
San Diego chilling because that is the end goal. I love you guys so much. Leave any questions below for Dr. Hotch and myself. Like and subscribe. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.